How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to part 2 of our two-part series revolving around creating time-expiring NFTs on Flow. In this part, we'll be basically looking at how to use our NFTs that we created in our last video and put them into a basic React.js website. Now, be forewarned, this tutorial is going to be super short, and we're just going to be taking a really quick look over our already built React.js website utilizing the NFTs. If you do get confused at any point, know that there are GitHub repo links below where you can check out the NFTs and the website we're checking out right now as well. So diving in, let's take a look at the website as a whole right now. So I can see here, we have a navbar where we can log in and log out. It shows our account address, our number of tokens in our account, conditional NFTs, the account address as well, total supply. You can see the total supply, the number of NFTs, and you can also mint your time-based NFT as well here. If we mint one right now, you can see how many hours we would like this NFT valid. We'll say 1 hour. And if we look at the non-expired NFT list, we'll quickly find, if we refresh, as you can see here, we have a update non-expired list, which we're going to do right here. And as you can see there, our non-expired list, we had an NFT there that was expired. We updated it, and then boom, it went into the expired NFTs list. So pretty easy. That's sort of a general overview of the website as a whole. Now taking a look at the website, we're just going to be going over sort of line by line how the website works as a whole, from the files down to the functions themselves. We won't be sort of writing this from scratch like we did the last video. Like I said, if you do get confused, make sure to check out the sort of repo and get a sort of better look at everything going on. So first, starting off, this is a basic Next.js website. If you look at the package.json, pretty standard imports that we're importing here. Only sort of thing that's out of the ordinary is the sort of Flow import here. This is pretty standard in the Flow community. This allows us to import the transactions, the sort of scripts as well, and allow us to sign into our wallets. So taking a look at the scripts, this is sort of repetitive of the last video, but we have our get expired NFTs. This shows us, this is a script that basically finds our expired NFTs. This is a get non-expired NFTs. So this allows us to see the non-expired NFTs. And then this function allows us to get these times NFTs inside a collection. So basically allows us to look at all the NFTs within the collection and see you know, what NFTs are going on inside there. Then moving on, we have our mint_time NFT. This allows us to, excuse me guys, this allows us to mint an NFT based on a number of parameters such as name, description, thumbnail, type, and hour. Hour in this case is basically telling your NFT how long it's going to be active for. So either 1 hour, 24 hours, or even to 365 days in the span of hours. When it comes to time expiring NFTs, a great example of this would be membership NFTs. So for example, if you have Patreon, you could put those in NFTs and allow you to basically hold collectibles of memberships as NFTs. Moving on to our configuration here, we have our REST testnet. So this allows us to basically sign in to our REST, to the sort of testnet on Flow, and allows us to connect our Flow address as well. So moving on to our pages, our index.js. Here we have our home. We have our use state, which basically has user and set user. And then our use effect, which allows us to basically subscribe the user, see if the user is logged in. Moving on, we have our handle mint. This is a function that basically allows us to input a number of different arguments into the sort of mint function and then mint that said function to the blockchain. As you see here, pretty basic stuff. We have our head, which is our title, create next app, our meta, which is our name description, and then head, or H1, which is conditional NFTs, our paragraph, which is our user and user address, and then total supply, number of NFTs that we saw over here, right here, our action block, our expired NFTs list, and our action box right here as well. So all basically just subcomponents within this. Now moving on to our components right here. This is sort of action box. Looking at this here, we have our result and set result. We then convert this hour to timestamp. So we're saying, as you can see here, how many hours will this NFT be valid? We could say 1 to however many hours, 24 hours, and we basically turn that into a timestamp, and then we set that result to the timestamp up here, or we set the results to timestamp up there. So that's pretty standard. Basically, just turning our hour input into a timestamp that we use for minting our NFTs. We then convert that, and on the click of that, we basically say, or pass that back into the sort of upper side page. Now moving on, we have our style components. We get our expired NFTs. We get our expired list. So this allows us to create a list that basically holds our use state list that basically holds all of our expired NFTs. On the loading of the page, we can get the expired list. So this allows us to basically look through, basically get an updated list of all the expired NFTs, and then console logs that so that we can check it out later. Next, we have an async function, which we're passing in here to the use effect. In this, we have a fcl.query, and we're passing in that cadence that we just saw for our script of get expired NFTs. And then after that, we're setting the response of that to the use state above. Lastly, we have a on click. So this basically allows us to update the list instead of, with a use effect, you can only update the list via reloading the website as a whole. With a on click, this allows us to basically update the list instantly with the click of a button. After that, we have basically a mapping. So this allows us to go through that array that we just called and found through that get expired list and map that into a wrapper, which shows us the number of NFTs in that list. Moving on, we have our nav bar, our nav bar. This is our user and set user, or flow and set flow. This allows us to basically get the user for a nav bar and log in the user and see their account, as you can see up here. So first, we are going to basically look and see if the user's already logged in. If so, we'll basically update the nav bar to show them being logged in. If not, we'll log them. They can log in via this sort of const res, which allows us to fcl.authenticate. If they do want to log out, for example, they also can fcl.unauthenticate. So this allows us to basically clear the user from our website and allows them to log out from their account. Moving on, we have our get flow function. So this allows us to basically input an address. We then search the blockchain and we find the balance for that account. In this case, we have a balance of 2989 for the number of tokens in this account. Obviously, this is a testnet account, and so we're sort of seeing that balance at the testnet up here. And then on here, this basically just are buttons that allow us to log in, log out. This shows the user address, and this shows the flow, which is the number of tokens of flow. That pretty much completes it for our nav bar. Moving on to our non-expired list. This essentially is very similar to our expired list. We have a use state up here, which is an empty array. Then on the loading of a page, we get the non-expired list. And then we move on to get the non-expired list. we input the cadence, we set the array to the non-expired list that's been queried from the blockchain, and then we convert that timestamp to a date. So very, very standard stuff here. We validate the NFT ID. So we have a transaction that prepares the auth account, and we execute that by adding the expired NFT to the blockchain. Now moving on, we have a wrapper, and we basically just create a button that allows us to instantly update the account. Then we map the expired NFTs via this sort of inline mapping, which we convert the NFT and then map it via the expired timestamp, the expired end date, and a number of different sort of data points that allow us to get more information on the NFT itself. Moving on, we have our total supply. This is a basic, sort of component here, which allows us, very similar to the other stuff, we create this empty use state on the use effect, basically on the loading of the website. We will get the total supply of NFTs instantly. And then we have the secondary function that we use in the use effect that imports this cadence from the developer and has a public function with uint64 and returning time-based NFTs.supply. So basically finds the total supply and then sets the total supply use state to the response of that function. And then very similarly, we have a button that allows us to instantly update the total supply. And then we have a paragraph with the total supply itself. So all very, very normal stuff. So now moving on, our last thing that we're sort of going to touch is this authorization JavaScript function. This is a function that inputs the sort of admin and allows us to do a lot of these actions that we saw in the website, such as minting, updating, which is normally only used by the admin. In this case, we are inserting the private key and the address. In this case, this address is only comprised of, a lot of, sort of flow tokens for the developer experience. But when it comes to the real account, there are no flow tokens. So have at it. But yes, basically for this account, we're basically inputting the private key, inputting the address, and then we're allowing us to sign these transactions via the private key and the address that we found here. After that, we have a server authorization that allows us to basically just authorize all these transactions with the admin itself and make sure that we can do these updates, these minting, a lot of these things that are only available to the admin. And that pretty much does it for our basic overview of React.js website. Like I said, our GitHub is constantly updating to be bigger and better. So if you have any questions, make sure to either put them in the put them in the comment section below, or to check out the GitHub repo yourself. Before I sign off, just want to say thank you for watching these videos. While this was a very quick overview, don't be discouraged. The repo itself has a lot of great comments, and this React.js website we try to make very, very simple and straightforward. Also, if you didn't see our last video, we have a new and exciting grant program that we're giving out, $500 to developers that want to use these contracts from our videos and their own, membership websites, ticketing websites, whatever you guys can come up with. So if you're interested to potentially winning our $500 grants, then make sure to put a submission below. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to check out those repos. I hope you guys have a great day.